So today I was thinking we could have a look at some of my personal favourite weapons to use on just a day-to-day basis whenever I play. We're going to be looking at things like general penetration, cover penetration, recoil control, accuracy, etc, etc. So firstly, the first thing I like to use for my increased penetration is the SR16 assault rifle. If you pair this with the SFMB brake, and honestly any scope will do. It depends on your variety and like what you personally like to use. I personally like to use the M5B or the 510C, as they both offer decent peripheral vision, as well as I think it's 1 to 2 times scoped, although some people I know will prefer the Holosight EXP S3. Again, all very good scopes. I personally don't like using the 1 to 4 and 1 to 12 times scopes, as I believe they just don't offer the kind of peripheral image that you'd like to see. Yeah, that's the SR16. We'll take over the shooting range now. And then we have our full auto recoil control, again, scoped. I personally really like this gun because I believe it offers a good amount of recoil control and accuracy in one gun, and it also packs quite a punch. I prefer to use my rounds in short bursts when I'm using full auto, as I believe it just offers that little bit more recoil control, and to be honest, in 3 to 4 shots, your enemy is down anyways, especially if you're running AP rounds. I personally on the SR16 love to use the AP rounds as well as JHP. Primarily tend to take AP rounds over JHP just because of the penetration. If you don't know what AP and JHP are, AP stands for armor piercing and JHP stands for general hollow point, or jacketed hollow point, sorry. That's just what I prefer to use. Another really good option, a lot of people don't, is the LVAR. So the LVAR offers great recoil control. It's integrally suppressed, shooting 300 blackout, and it's based on the MCX platform. Another one I like to use is the G36C and the G3A3, as they both pack quite a punch and hit very well in close quarter situations. Those are my two preferences on more full auto rifles. I'm going to cover shotguns in another video on another day, but let's move on to the pistols. So personally, I'll either run the USP45 or the classic Glock 19. Both offer stability and, you know, very much compatibility in short distances and close quarter situations. Which I do like a lot. And also offer quite a nice canted sight. Then we'll have a look at this. So those are all the headshots from that Glock 19. Very nice. This is usually my general purpose sidearm. I use it for most missions, as I find it's quite reliable and just very nice to handle. Then on the other hand, we use the USP45. I personally just stick a laser pointer on this. I don't use anything else, you know, any scopes, nothing like that. I feel like it ruins the sort of vibe with this gun. And then long tactical. Personally, I tend to take the breech shotgun because I feel it's very time consuming sometimes when you're sitting there lock picking. So I just take the breech shotgun for a quick and easy bang, I'm now in. Armour, I'd very much suggest the light armour, as it has the most body slots, so that's ammunition, deployables, everything. whilst offering front and back coverage, and I believe it is just the best in my opinion. And then I tend to go with ceramic as it's lighter than steel, so you don't take that, you know, heaviness penalty, so you're moving slower, but it also does take a good amount of shots before the ceramic breaks and you obviously start taking damage. Deployables, again, really up to preference. I personally like to take a taser and some flashbangs and then leave the rest of it down to ammunition. So on this one I've clearly gone 5 AP on both weapons. Again, perfectly down to preference. Same as, obviously, you got your helmet only, whether you want to have a ballistic mask and anti-flash goggles, or, you know, if you're planning on using CS gas for that mission, then you can run a gas mask and no ballistic mask. And then NVGs are... really down to preference again. I prefer the GP NVGs because they have a wider field of view and it's really just better for low light situations, whereas with your normal NVGs you kind of get overwhelmed with that light and that can become quite difficult. But yeah, that's just a quick look into my current loadouts and what I tend to run on a regular basis. If you'd like a more in-depth, you know, video on this and I can show you guys some of the more in-depth weapons and techniques that I'll use, then drop a like, leave a comment, ask what you want, and I'm more than happy to come back to it with a video of its own. Cheers for watching.